Okay, I'm gonna talk about boundaries. We hear a lot of people saying in therapists you have to put some boundaries if you're gonna stay in contact with a narcissist. So this is a boundaries list I wrote to my mother. That's about 11 years ago, when we were living next to her, like 150 meters away from her. Our house was 150 meters from her in the countryside. And no, that's more, that's about 14 years ago. So these are the boundaries. About you with the children. When the children want to visit you, my husband, and only him, will drive them to you. I have to remind you that my mother is also an alcoholic, and she had a few accidents, not dangerous ones on the road or anything, but in our land. Went straight into a tree with my oldest child. Then she was 2. We were very afraid of her driving anyway. So the first boundary is that when the children want to visit her, only my husband will drive them to her. Oh, so this is when we moved. Actually, we moved from living next to her into the village, about 4 kilometers away. So, of course, you had to drive them there. Then, they will never, whatever the mood and the conditions at that moment, be left for more than 3 hours. So I was putting a boundary that 3 hours was the limit. Little did I know that in 3 hours a lot of damage can be done to small kids. But that was so as to make her understand that they were not going to sleep over. There was no way they were going to sleep over, ever. So, then I continue. They are allowed to phone us at any moment they feel like it, and for whatever reason. This was the boundary I put, and she knew very well, without giving an explanation, but she knew, because we had a talk about it, that she was frightening, and I have talked in another video about this, that she was, I learned from a friend, a dear friend, who was taking her to her house and play with her daughter quite often, weekends or so. Weekdays they didn't have school. So she called me one day and she said, look, I have to tell you something. Your daughter told me that is worrying. And I was like, what happened? And she said, well, we were just playing and talking, and you know how kids are. She opened up and she said that when she's done something naughty, your mother tells her that she's gonna lock her in the cellar. And the worst is, she said, that she told her when they get in this, I mean, my daughter said, yeah, when I'm not a good child, my grandmother, she says she's going to lock me in the cellar. And when my friend asked her, did you tell your mother, talk to your mother about this? She said, no, because grandmother told me that if I ever tell mom, it will be much worse. So she frightened my daughter, not only by telling her that she was going to lock her in the cellar, but she also made her be afraid of me, of what I would do to her if I learned about that. That's why I say they are allowed to phone us. Plus, when my daughter would say, "Can I phone Mom?" she would say, "If you tell Mom, you'll see what's going to happen." Or she would not let them phone. She would not let my daughter phone. I'm saying her because my son was younger. He was not even two. So she would not let them phone. When they thought, "Oh, can I call Mom?" No. So I'm going to the next one then. There shall be no punishment or frightening the children with any other phrase than, "I will call your mother to come and pick you up because I cannot cope with the noise or cope with you anymore." So I'm giving her a choice, really, to call me up when she gets enough or she feels like she's getting edgy. There will be absolutely no drinking while the children are in your company. Even for one glass of wine, you have to get us to pick them up. Again, I'm giving her a choice. About you and us. So the first part was about you with the children, now it's about you and us. Even for a small visit, a quick warning on the mobile, if you can find us, if you can't find us on the phone, is not going to cost you much and is going to make us feel better towards you. This is because she would come and visit without any warning, any time of the day. And of course, her visits are not something you enjoy. I don't mind my friends visiting, I don't mind, but her, no, I didn't want her because I had to be prepared every time she visited. To be prepared for her criticism and her complaints. So no, it never ended up well, and we probably were not in the mood. Plus, she would really come when it was convenient for her, and convenient for her, since she's a person who wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and well, I didn't then, now I do, but then I didn't. She would come knocking the door at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was Sunday." Anyway, so when you are under the abuse of alcohol, avoid visiting or calling us. We can always tell, and it only arouses anger towards you. So this was to explain to her that we can tell when she's drunk. There's no point in me to know I haven't drunk yet, and we can tell. Her voice has changed, her mood changed, everything. Anyway, this one is a funny one. Advice is accepted. Never confuse it with criticism. There is a difference between someone who gives advice and someone who thinks his advice is the way it should be and end up using criticism. When something has hurt or bothered you, find a way to talk about it then and there. Don't let it grow in you and throw it in our face in another issue. She would do that. She would do that. It was never that moment that whatever you said that could have hurt her really hurt her. She would use that. She would go back home, simmer on it, and then in a month, 2 months, she would throw it in your face. So, when something has hurt or bothered you, find a way to talk about it then and there, and don't let it grow in you and throw it in our face in another issue. Till then, you are an impossible person, full of arrogance and irony. Yes, because you would never know what bothered her, but you knew that something bothered her, because she would be arrogant and very ironic. Try starting a conversation with, in brackets, I would like to talk to you about something that hurt me, for better results. When you want something to be done, you can ask, but you can't always expect for it to be done on your terms and time. You have to accept that there will be things that will also not be wanted to be done, for whatever the reason. The reason is the other person's right. So that's another thing. She would ask for you to do something, but it would be her who decided when, how fast, and how it would be done. So, not really a favor, is it? You're not asking for a favor there. You just want your slaves to do things for you. And we always had a problem with that, because if I said, no, I can't come now because whatever reason, she would get mad. And you never, whenever I ask something, you never do it. It's never. Yet we do so much. Before you give us anything, that also is a good word, before you give us anything, be sure that you do it with all your heart, so that it cannot be used as an exchange service. E.g., you can't even do this when I have given you that. This is, well, we all know about that, how it works. I continue. Never forget that we have our lives, our needs, our choices, our ideas, our point of views, and our ways. Whether you agree with them or not, that is the way it is. I am putting a finger on these facts so that to avoid later misunderstanding and fights, giving you the liberty to continue living your life as you please, meaning drinking, and us the flexibility of dealing with it. Please keep this somewhere. You can often reread it and remember it. Repetition of the same mistakes ends up with the deterioration of relationships. It's not an aggressive letter. It's not an aggressive note. I've typed it. I've highlighted the crucial points. And I asked her to put it on the fridge, somewhere she can read it and remember the rules. The boundaries. Of course, she was not going to follow any of those things. Of course, they don't. I don't even know she read it. Or she must have and told me that she didn't read it. They don't give a shit. whatever boundaries you put, they don't give a shit. If they did, you wouldn't need to put them anyway. They would know what normal boundaries are, what everybody's boundaries are in relationships. Every single one of those things I wrote, we have discussed about, we had fights about. But in all this, there's still hope that she understands something from the moment that I give. So boundaries is something that you put and you follow. You don't expect the other one to follow them. They will never do that. Now, the boundaries you can put are to yourself, really. I will not call her. I feel mad about what she last said, and I will not call her. And you don't. You wait for her to call if she wants to call. Boundaries are, I will not let her get to me. If she started criticizing me, I turn around and leave. This is a boundary. And you do it. You do it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. I mean, at the end, they're gonna get tired of getting no response. They must get tired of getting no response. If you try and explain, if you try and communicate with them like you would with a normal person, it's not gonna get anywhere. Don't expect any good results. There will be no results. So you're just opening war. You're just making things worse. First of all, they don't like to be told what to do and not to do. They like telling them. They love telling other people what to do. They get angry if other people don't do what they say. So what's the point of asking them not to drink? Please don't drink when you are with the children. Not only will they drink, but it will be the children's fault that they drunk. It will be. Or you left them too long, or... I mean, my mother even told me once that she was having a good time with the children, and I said, but you're totally drunk. And her answer was, yeah, I drunk because I was so happy. I mean, she used so much the I drunk because they are spoiled, or because they are tiring, or because they make too much noise. And that was the I drunk because I was so happy. And you had to feel sorry for her, sympathize with her. She drank because the children made her happy. They are crazy people. Completely irrational, crazy people. So the only person you can put boundaries to is yourself. And try and keep them. That's all. That's all.